Tonight, we're going to talk about some Gamecock baseball. The Gamecocks sweeping Miami of Ohio this past weekend. Since they lost the series against Clemson, 5 in a row for the Gamecocks. Chad Holbrook, 99 wins. He's 1 win shy of 100. The Gamecocks haven't been always consistent, but they have found a way to win baseball games. Now joining me, Brian Hanna, Spurs and fellas. Brian, when you look at this baseball team, you know, a lot of folks kind of worried right now because it hadn't been flawless, but they still are a top 10 baseball team. I know the poll stated they dropped down to 7 after this weekend. They were at 5. What's your assessment right now of this baseball team?
Well, you just mentioned that maybe they're not consistent and maybe everything's not going the way they want, but they're 12-3. It's still a good baseball team. You mentioned one poll dropped them down from 5 to 7, and another poll moved them up from 12 to 7. So, you know, and they're in the minutia of 6 polls. You never know what to make.
I can't figure out baseball polls.
Exactly.
Who knows?
You're exactly right. But, you know, to get back to it, South Carolina has a good baseball team. Right now, their pitching is elite. It's as good as there is in the country, if not better than anybody in the country. All the national prognosticators will tell you that. But the offense is kind of chugging along, not doing everything they need, you know, but they're still winning. If they can get going, you know, it could be a very, very good year for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, their pitch has been phenomenal. Just looking at some of the stats of Jack Wynkoop, 27 innings, tied for second right now. He's been very good. So they're shutting people down, and that's what's going to win you championships because defense represents. I mean, pitching represents defense. So when you look at the pitching. But when you talk about backing up the pitching, it's been pretty solid for the most part as well.
Yeah, the defense has been phenomenal, particularly Jordan Gore. You know, you had some great play in the outfield as well. You know, and that's what the pitchers, you know, if you're talking to Will Crow, you know, as a Friday night starter, Jack Wynkoop, who's been starting on Saturday, they'll tell you that really the big reason that they're so good is because of their defense. And what, you know, and what Chad Holbrook always says about the Gamecocks, what he wants his Gamecocks to be is we pitch and we play defense. That's what he wants everything to be based around. Now, if they can get that hitting, you know, it's not awful, but if they can get a little bit better, I mean, you still got Max Schrock, you got Kyle Martin, you got some good baseball players and some good offensive players, and they're going to get it going, but it's got to come up quickly because you got Kentucky coming in this week.
Well, you know, and Coach Holbrook talked about that. He said, I got to have Kyle Martin. I got to have Max Schrock hitting the baseball well if we're going to win. If we're going to be successful, those two guys need to be really good. And they have stepped it up some, Kyle Martin and Max Schrock. He even thought about benching those guys or setting them down, but he had to allow them to work through their slump. The way you get out of a slump is let them keep swinging at it, and he did that. And I think it's gotten better. But when you talk about the hitting, Brian, it seems like I've been hearing this for the last couple of years, the hitting struggles of this baseball team.
Yeah, and you have, and it is the reason. I mean, a lot of people like to point back to what happened last year in the NCAA tournament against Maryland, and you know, it's kind of carried into this year. I wouldn't say it's carried into this year because I think they've had some good offensive performances this year. But I mean, you know, I don't know if there is a magic thing. The one thing that they have done this year is they've changed up their approach to the play. They're more aggressive. They're swinging at first pitches. They're getting out there. Max Schrock, Kyle Martin told me personally that they both like it better, and you know, it's really helping. And you know, and that's what led to these 5 wins. They changed that approach after the Clemson series. So, you know, it's working so far. So let's see how it carries on out as we go into the SEC.
Finally, I'll talk about this course with Penn State coming in Tuesday, Wednesday for 2-day series in Kentucky. You start the SEC this weekend. Got to be ready for that. But let's talk about the freshman, Alex Destino.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Grand Slam already. This guy's been pretty good baseball player.
Yeah, you know, we're mentioning all these other offensive numbers, but Alex Destino's pretty special. You know, he was a preseason All-American before he even played. And you know, and he's lived up to it so far, so it's nice to see. And you know, he's a great player. And then Chad Holbrook always says, we want that big guy swinging for the fences every time he comes up.